Welcome to another repair brought to you by PartsDirectToYou.com. First thing we're going to do is unplug the machine and then remove the back panel by removing these 1/4-inch screws using a 1/4-inch nut driver, attachment on your drill or socket. This repair is for replacing a condenser fan motor and a Whirlpool, Kenmore, Maytag product. Whirlpool makes many appliances under different names. There's, I believe, 98 different names it could have, so it's basically a Whirlpool product. Once you remove this panel, you see the condenser fan motor approximately in the middle of the machine, in between the compressor on the left and the water valve on the right. First thing we're going to do is remove that wire there, and then there's 2 screws here that we can remove. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to remove this motor. One is the easy way and quick way, and the second way is a little bit longer, but that's how some people remove it. First thing we're going to do is remove this wire. There's a little tab you need to push in and pull on the wire and it'll come out. I'll show you here a close-up of what I'm talking about. Once you have the wire removed, we'll then need to remove the screws. That screw there we're not going to remove yet. That's the one if you want to do it the hard way. I'm going to show you first the easy way, which is just removing the 2 screws off the back of the motor. There's 4 different holes it can be in, depending on how the installer put it on. Again, you need a 1/4-inch socket with an extension. You'll possibly need to move your water valve out of the way, depending on the model. These are going to come out lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Nothing special. The screws are rather long because they need to go through that plastic, and they're probably longer than they should be, so it'll take you quite a few turns to get them out. Once you have the top screw out, go and remove the bottom screw. A little bit harder to get to. Make sure you have the screws all the way out. Once they're all the way out, you'll see that fan will come out freely. Once you have the screw all the way out, just reach and pull the fan out. And be sure to avoid the copper pipes and all the hoses with the fan blade. It gets kind of caught up. You can slightly push on these pipes, but do not bend them. The copper pipes cannot be bent. Once you have it out, you'll see that there's the old part next to the new part. The old part has a metal frame on the back. The new part has it built into the frame itself, so you don't need to remove that metal frame and swap it over. These holes are going to line up. You don't need that metal frame. This is a wire adapter for some models and a fan blade. It also comes with screws for attaching the fan to the plastic holder. Now when you put the fan motor back in, there's 4 different holes where you can line it up. I like to line it up so the wires are a little bit easier to get to. Once you have it in, you're going to take and put 1 screw in first with your fingers. You can see the holes on the frame of the motor will line up with the holes in the plastic holder, the black plastic holder. and just slightly get it in there so it stays in place, and then we'll tighten it up with a socket. However, the socket we want to put, snug it, but don't make it so tight that you can't move the fan. We're still going to need to move it to line up the holes for the other 2 screws that need to go in. Once you get that first screw in kind of snug, go and line up the motor to put in the second screw. You'll do the same for the third screw, and then tighten them all up. In this video here, I'm only going to show you 2 because I'm going to show you the third when I show you the other way to remove the fan motor. Like I said, you might need to move your water valve out of the way. Once I have the second screw in there, I like to go ahead and just tighten it down all the way because the third hole is automatically going to be lined up. Go back in, don't forget to tighten up the other screws as well. Make sure they're all tight. Once you get it screwed in, you're going to plug it back in. Then we're going to put the fan blade onto the motor. Grab that fan blade in the center. And again, don't bend any of the copper tubes. And hold the motor and frame in place as you push that fan blade onto the motor. Now you want to make sure that you get it on there really good and make sure it's straight and not bent or anything crazy. Just make sure you push from the middle, don't push on the fan blades themselves. And once again, don't bend any of these copper pipes. I like to give it a quick test, make sure it works. You'll see how much better it blows. It's blowing all that dust off of it. It's going to blow to your right, so it sucks air in through the front, over the compressor, and then to the right. This here is the other way to remove it. You remove a 1/4-inch screw holding the plastic bracket on the bottom. Once you have the 1/4-inch screw out of the way, you're going to pull this whole bracket out and just make sure, again, not to bend any of these copper pipes and just navigate your way around all the hoses and wires. Once you pull it out, you would then remove the old motor and install the new one the same way. And you can see here on the back there's 4 holes, but only 3 are going to be used, and those are just there so you can line it up in different spots. You're going to put all 3 screws in and tighten them down all the way. Once you get the screws in, you're going to go ahead and put the fan motor back into the refrigerator. It's going to slide right in. It's got to navigate again, all these hoses and wires, copper pipes. I can't stress it enough, do not bend the copper pipes. as you can see, it's kind of tough to get back in. If you have someone else to kind of hold wires out of the way, it definitely helps. After you get it in, there's two metal pieces on the bottom of the frame of the refrigerator that are going to slide over the plastic frame, and then you're going to just reinstall the 1/4" screw to hold it in. As you screw in that 1/4" screw, the frame will like to push back on you to the right, so it makes you hold it in place. And you're going to get that screw nice and tight. Just make sure it stays lined up as you're screwing in the 1/4" screw. After you get it nice and tight, go ahead and line up the wires. There's a little groove or slot in that plastic frame, and the wires are going to go down in. Make sure they're not kinked, pinched. We're going to plug the fan motor back in. You'll hear it kind of click. These wires, I like to pull on them over to the left so they snug up. You can add a wire tie if you want. Honestly though, they'll never move over. Once you pull on them, they'll stay snug. Gotta put these plastic hoses back into the groove where they go. Make sure that they're not touching the copper pipe. That copper pipe gets hot and can melt them. That's why that foam is there separating the pipe from the hoses. Go ahead and put your back panel back on. You're going to put one screw in, go snug, and then make sure everything's lined up and nothing's kinked or pinched. You don't want to have an electrical short or pinch a hose in there and have it start leaking water on you. Go ahead and get your 1/4" screwdriver, nut driver, attachment for your drill, and put the 5 screws back on. After you put the 5 screws back on, you'll plug the machine back in. Now, if the refrigerator's already cool, if you didn't have it unplugged for that long and the fan wasn't completely broken, it should remain cool and get cooler if it needs to. If the refrigerator's warm, it'll take 8 to 24 hours before you see it cool down. So if you go check in an hour and it's not freezing cold, well, that's normal. It takes time to cool a refrigerator down from room temperature. Go ahead and plug the machine back in and get your parts at partsdirecttoyou.com.